All right, so are you ready to like really fine-tune those ears?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, good, because today we are diving deep into the world of English accents.
Ooh.
And specifically, like, how to improve yours.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you guys requested this one, so
Cool.
big, deep dive.
I love it.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
But okay, before we get into like how to actually transform your speech, have you ever like stopped to think about how many different English accents are out there?
Oh, my gosh, so many.
Right.
It's mind-boggling.
It's crazy. Like, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Awesome.
So
Let's do it.
let's do it.
Okay, so where do we start?
Where do we even begin?
Well, I mean, you've got your British accents, of course.
Right.
You've got received pronunciation, which is like the classic Queen's English. You've got Cockney rhyming slang, like straight from the streets of London.
Oh, yeah.
The beautiful rolling R's of Scotland and Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
The singer-song lilt of Welsh.
I love that.
Each one is like a unique fingerprint of its region.
It really is.
And that's just like the tip of the iceberg.
Right. And then you've got American English,
Yeah.
which is a whole other
world.
from the, crisp consonants of the general American accent
Uh-huh.
to the drawn-out vowels of the South,
Love it.
the fast-paced rhythm of New York,
Uh-huh.
and on and on.
The series goes on and on.
Yeah. And we haven't even touched on Australian or Canadian English.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right.
And like, I once heard someone describe Australian English as like British English with a relaxed drawl.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And what's even more intriguing is how all these accents like continue to evolve
Right.
and influence each other.
Yeah.
Like take, for example, the rise of estuary English in Britain, which blends elements of Cockney and received pronunciation,
Wow.
reflecting the changing social landscape.
Yeah, it's really a living, breathing tapestry of sounds.
It really is. But before we get like, carried away with all the different types,
Yeah.
let's kind of like lay down some groundwork.
Yeah.
We need to understand the distinction between accent and pronunciation.
Yes. This is important because I think a lot of people use these terms interchangeably.
Right.
But there's a subtle but crucial difference.
Yeah.
So think of it this way. Pronunciation is about hitting the right notes,
Okay.
making sure each individual sound is clear and accurate.
Ah.
Accent, on the other hand, is like the whole melody, the
Yeah.
overall musicality of your speech.
Got it.
It encompasses elements like intonation stress and the way you connect words.
Okay. So to really like nail that natural sounding English accent, you need both.
You need both.
Clear pronunciation of the individual sounds and the rhythm and flow of a native speaker.
Exactly.
And then we want to jump into like the practical stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there's this tool that's like super valuable
Oh, yeah?
for anyone serious about mastering pronunciation.
Uh-huh.
The International Phonetic Alphabet,
Oh, the IPA.
or IIPA.
Yeah. It's so helpful.
Right.
It's like a universal language for describing sounds.
Okay.
And it's incredibly helpful because it provides a consistent way to represent how words are pronounced.
I used to think it was like a bunch of cryptic symbols.
I know.
But once I understood the basics, it was like a light bulb went off.
Totally.
It really demystified pronunciation for me.
It takes some of the guesswork out for sure.
Yeah.
You start to see how vowels are categorized, how those tricky diphthongs work.
Right.
Like the ow sound in cow or the oi in boy.
Mm-hmm.
And even understand how to tackle consonant clusters.
Right.
Those combinations of consonants that can be real tongue twisters.
Yes. It's like a cheat sheet for English sounds.
Exactly.
But like, how much do we really need to like dive into the IPA to improve our accent?
Well, I mean, you don't need to become like an IPA expert,
Right.
but just familiarizing yourself with the basic symbols for vowels and consonants can be incredibly helpful. Okay. Think of it as learning a new alphabet
Okay.
that reveals the building blocks of spoken English.
Gotcha. So we've got the basics down.
Okay.
Accent versus pronunciation.
Yep.
The power of the IPA.
Uh-huh.
Now let's talk about how we actually start improving.
Yes.
I'm guessing step one involves a lot of listening.
You got it.
Yeah.
Active listening is the foundation of language acquisition.
Okay.
Think about how babies learn to speak.
Right.
They just soak up every sound, every nuance, just by listening to those around them.
Totally.
Our brains are wired for this.
Yeah.
And the same principle applies when you're learning to master an accent.
So it's not just about understanding the words.
Right.
It's about absorbing the music of the language.
Yes.
The way native speakers naturally pronounce and phrase things.
Precisely.
Okay.
Choose material you enjoy.
Moving.
Movies, TV shows, podcasts, even music.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
And truly listen to how native speakers are speaking.
Yeah.
Good.
Tune into the rhythm, the intonation, the subtle pauses and inflections.
Gotcha.
It's about training your ear to recognize those subtle differences in pronunciation that make English sound so natural.
Okay, I get it.
Okay.
It's not just about passively hearing English in the background.
Right.
It's about intentionally listening and absorbing those patterns.
Exactly.
But how do we take it a step further
Yeah.
and start mimicking those sounds ourselves?
Well, that's where the magic of imitation and shadowing comes in.
Okay.
Imitation's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You listen to a native speaker and try to replicate their pronunciation as closely as possible.
Okay.
Shadowing takes it up a notch.
Okay.
You speak along with the recording, trying to match the speaker's pace, intonation, and pronunciation in real time.
So at the same time?
At the same time, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's like synchronized swimming for your voice.
Synchronized swimming.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's fun.
But okay, so isn't it a bit awkward to talk to yourself like that?
Yeah, it might feel strange initially, but trust me, the results are worth it.
Okay.
Shadowing forces you to pay close attention to every detail of the speaker's pronunciation, and it helps your brain create those neural pathways for producing those sounds naturally.
Oh, wow.
It's like a workout for your vocal muscles.
Okay. I'm game to try shadowing.
Awesome.
But what about specific sounds that we struggle with?
Yeah.
Are there any exercises that can target those trouble areas?
Absolutely.
Tongue twisters.
Oh, yeah, those are classic.
They're a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
They're designed to trip you up, which is precisely why they're so effective.
Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't.
Yeah, and they force you to practice those tricky sound combinations,
Right.
improving your articulation and fluency.
Oh, that's good.
And then you have minimal pair exercises,
Okay.
which focus on those subtle sound differences that can be real brain teasers for non-native speakers.
You mean ship versus sheep?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Those short I versus long E sounds. That
So hard to distinguish.
let alone pronounce correctly.
Exactly. And so minimal pair exercises train your ear
Okay,
to hear those subtle differences and your mouth to produce them accurately.
cool.
It's all about fine-tuning your auditory discrimination and muscle memory.
So it's like training our tongue to dance
Yes.
to the rhythm of English pronunciation.
Think of it like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
But okay, so speaking of training,
Mm-hmm.
how do we know if our practice is actually paying off?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because it's easy to get stuck in our own heads
Yeah.
and not realize we're making the same mistakes.
Totally. And that's where self-recording and speech analysis come in.
Okay.
Technology is a language learner's best friend these days.
Right.
Recording yourself allows you to listen to your own speech objectively and hear things you might not notice when you're just speaking.
Right.
Plus, there are fantastic speech analysis apps and software available now
Oh, cool.
that can provide a visual representation of your pronunciation. You can see things like the pitch of your voice,
Okay.
where you're stressing certain syllables,
Mm-hmm.
and even how your pronunciation compares to that of a native speaker.
So it's like having a personalized pronunciation coach
In your pocket.
in my pocket.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it is pretty amazing.
So we've got active listening, shadowing tongue twisters, minimal pairs,
Uh-huh.
even speech analysis apps to help us hone our pronunciation.
Right.
But what about those pesky habits that creep in from our native language?
Oh, yeah.
I know I still struggle with certain sounds
Yeah.
just because of the way my first language is structured.
Right, and that's a common challenge called mother tongue interference.
Okay.
The sounds and patterns we're accustomed to in our native language inevitably influence how we pronounce English words.
Yeah.
The key is to identify those specific areas
Okay.
where your native language is interfering
Yeah.
and consciously work on adjusting those sounds or patterns.
Okay, so for example, someone whose first language roles, their R's, might find the English R particularly challenging,
Exactly.
while someone from a tonal language might initially struggle with English intonation,
Yes.
which relies on pitch changes to convey meaning
Right.
rather than changes in tone.
Precisely.
Wow.
It's like learning a new dance style.
Okay.
You have to be mindful of the steps and movements that are unique to that style.
Right.
It's not about erasing your native language's influence.
Okay.
It's about expanding your repertoire
Oh, I like that.
of sounds and rhythms to include those specific to English.
That's such a helpful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's about adding new tools
Yeah.
to our linguistic toolbox
Exactly.
rather than trying to replace the existing ones.
Yeah.
So we've covered pronunciation in depth,
We have.
but what about that musicality of English that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Like the stress rhythm and intonation.
Yeah.
Can you unpack those a bit more for us?
Of course, these are the elements that truly bring English to life. Stress refers to emphasizing certain syllables within words.
Right.
English is what we call a stress-timed language,
Okay.
which means the rhythm is created by the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. Think of it like the beat of a song.
Okay.
Intonation is the rise and fall of your pitch as you speak.
Gotcha.
It's like the melody of a sentence,
Yeah.
conveying emotion, emphasis, and even grammatical meaning.
Wow, so it's not just about pronouncing the words correctly, it's about placing the emphasis in the right places.
Exactly.
And using the right intonation to convey the intended meaning.
Yes.
Wow.
It's like adding those subtle nuances that make the language sound natural and expressive.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, but how do we actually practice stress rhythm and intonation?
That's a great question. And again,
Yeah.
active listening is your best friend.
Okay.
Pay attention to how native speakers use stress rhythm and intonation
Right.
to convey meaning and emotion,
Okay.
and then try imitating those patterns when you speak. You can also find online resources and exercises specifically designed to help you practice these elements.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
we have.
Active listening imitation, targeted exercises, speech analysis, and even addressing those tricky habits from our native language.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But I think the most important piece of the puzzle
Yeah.
is consistent practice.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like anything else we want to master.
Right.
It takes time, effort, and a healthy dose of patience.
Yeah.
The key is to make practice fun and sustainable.
Okay.
Don't overwhelm yourself with too much at once.
Right.
Set realistic goals.
Yeah.
Celebrate small wins.
Mm.
Find a language buddy to practice with.
That's fun.
And perhaps most importantly, remember why you're putting in the effort.
Yeah.
What are your goals for improving your accent? Keeping those goals in mind can be a powerful motivator.
Right. Especially when you hit those plateaus.
When you hit those plateaus, yeah.
Totally. It's easy to get discouraged if we don't see results overnight.
Oh, yeah.
But if we focus on those long-term goals
Right.
and make practice a fun part of our routine,
Yeah.
then we're much more likely to stick with it
Uh-huh.
and see real progress over time.
Exactly.
So what are some practical tips
Okay.
for incorporating practice into our daily lives
Yeah.
without it feeling like a chore?
Well, why not turn activities you already enjoy into opportunities for practice?
Oh, yeah.
Watch movies or TV shows with subtitles.
Okay.
Listen to podcasts while you commute.
Oh, I love that.
Or even read aloud from a book.
Oh, yeah.
The more you immerse yourself in the language, the more natural it will become.
I love the idea of turning your commute into a pronunciation practice session.
That's a great idea.
But what about those days when motivation dips
Uh-oh.
and we just don't feel like practicing?
Oh, yeah.
We all have those moments,
I
right?
do.
So what advice would you give someone who's struggling to stay on track?
Well, first of all, those days are totally normal.
Okay.
Be kind to yourself. Remember that progress isn't always linear.
Right.
Some days you'll feel like you're nailing it.
Yeah.
And others you'll feel like you're back at square one. But every bit of effort counts.
Okay.
Even 10 minutes of focused practice is better than none at all.
You're so right. It's about finding those little pockets of time throughout the day
Yeah,
and turning them into opportunities for growth.
exactly.
And if you can find ways to make practice enjoyable, it won't feel like work at all.
It won't.
Right.
And, beyond simply sounding more native,
Yeah.
there's something deeper about exploring accents.
Oh.
They're not just about sounds. They're part of our identity.
Oh.
They reflect our personal histories, our cultural backgrounds,
Yeah.
the communities we belong to.
That's such a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like each accent tells a story that's woven into the fabric of who we are. So as you're working on improving your English accent,
Yeah.
you're not just refining your pronunciation, you're also exploring a new facet of your identity
Yeah.
and how you connect with the world around you.
Exactly. And while there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve your accent
Right.
and enhance your communication skills,
Yeah.
it's crucial to remember that your accent is a part of what makes you unique.
Yeah.
Embracing that uniqueness is just as important as working towards clarity and fluency.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot between refining your pronunciation and celebrating the unique tapestry of sounds that make up your voice.
I love that.
It's about owning your voice in all its richness and complexity.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as you continue on this journey of refining your English accent, just remember, you're already on the path to success.
Right.
Just by being here and engaging with this deep dive, you're actively seeking knowledge.
Yes, you are.
You're exploring new techniques. You're expanding your understanding of language and communication.
That's huge.
That's something to celebrate for sure.
It really is.
And your accent is like a powerful tool.
It is.
So as you continue on this journey, you'll not only refine your pronunciation, but also discover new ways to express yourself and connect with the world around you.
Absolutely.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
That refining our accent can actually deepen our connection with others.
Right.
It's like we're opening up these new channels of communication and understanding.
Totally. You think about it this way. How does your accent shape your interactions with others?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Does it open doors to new connections or spark moments of humor?
Yeah.
Or even lead to fascinating conversations about language and culture?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Those are great questions to ponder.
Yeah.
I know for me, hearing different accents always piques my curiosity.
It's interesting, right?
It's so interesting. It's like a window into another person's world, their experiences, their background.
It's a reminder that communication goes beyond just the words themselves.
Right.
It's about the nuances, the inflections, the unique melody of each voice.
I love that. So as we wrap things up today, as you continue honing your English accent, remember to embrace the journey, celebrate your progress, and never lose sight of the power and beauty of your own unique voice.
Well said. I agree with all of that.
Keep practicing, stay curious, and just enjoy the process of unlocking the music of English.
Yes.
So there you have it, a deep dive into the fascinating world of English accents.
We did it.
We did it. We explored the science behind pronunciation. We uncovered effective techniques. We even touched on the deeper meaning behind accents and identity.
So cool.
It is really cool. So now it's your turn. Take what you've learned and embark on your own accent adventure.
Have fun.
Have fun with confidence, curiosity, and a sense of playfulness.
Yes.
Happy practicing, everyone.